Hey, Martin. What's happening?
Yo,
I'm going to need you to move down into storage B.
that's cool.
There's no microphone there, so just it's due to, we got some new people coming in, but we're going to need you to yell real loud
I can do that.
to be on the podcast.
That'll be fine.
We just don't have room for you here. I have some very important papers and boxes and
No, I've been
plaques.
feeling cramped for some time. It makes sense.
Good. Well, I don't know if the new desk is going to solve that problem, but you're certainly going to be acquainted with several new species of spider.
That's cool.
Hopefully that's something you've always wanted.
Mate, what if I already know the species? Can you guarantee that they're new?
I can't. That's actually not in my power
Dissatisfied.
or authority to do.
I'm dissatisfied.
So we're just going to have to see, aren't we?
It's new spiders or nothing.
Well, that's the thing. We just don't know, dude. All right. What's up, guys? We're doing another career-focused episode. We did an episode on how to crush your interviewers a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
I think that went pretty well. Hopefully
Crush
there
them.
are some interviewers crushed out there.
Crush, kill, destroy.
Something like Stress. That's a good song.
It is a
I
good
like
song.
that song. Today's episode is going to be a little bit more personal. So over the summer, we made, I don't want to say our first hire, but our first legitimate hire.
The other ones are illegitimate.
They're all illegitimate. In fact, they all cheated their way onto this team. I don't know how they got here.
Yep.
Security, escort them for not acting like a team. And remember, they need to act like a team. I may need to get a new security team to escort the current security team out of the building for not acting like a team. No, so at this point, CIG is a company with 9 people who help it out in some shape or form.
Yep.
Nobody other than you and me work full time on it, but they do help to some degree every week. We've got a couple of video editors. We have got a couple of writers now. We have a content manager. We have Guillermo who does the timestamps for this podcast and the show notes. You, Ashley does graphic design, and I'm not counting in my head right now, so hopefully I'm not missing anybody. But over the past few years, it's been a very casual process of bringing new people on the team.
Yeah.
I think the way that you came onto the team was like, hey, you're better at coding than me. Do you want to code my new website?
Yeah.
I'll pay you to quit
Pretty
your
much.
job on campus so you have time to do it. And then with Kayla, our content manager, I asked my friend Matt, who runs Swim University and Roasty Coffee and used to run Listen Money Matters before I took his spot on the show there. I was like, hey, I heard you had somebody who was managing content and doing your emails for you. Who is it? And he's like, oh, it's Kayla. And I just shot her an email and said, hey, Matt said you're good. I want to hire you.
Fair.
So it's always been very
Yeah, there's not a
casual.
fill out this application, do 300 things in a backflip.
And we had the intention to be very uncasual about hiring a video editor way earlier in this year. We were going to go through this big process. We were going to put out some footage, have people submit things. And then I went to a conference and I met a couple of editors and we ended up hanging out just as friends the whole time. And at the end of the conference, they said, hey, if you need help, let's do an experiment. Try it out. And I said, okay, let's try it out. And they are still my editors. So that was serendipitous and worked out well.
Ruined your process for being a bureaucracy, Tom.
That's true. We aren't bureaucratic enough yet.
We can fix it.
We don't have overhead fluorescent lights yet. That light looks really yellow, actually, compared to all these set lights right now.
Huh.
It almost looks like it's burned
Yes, it
out, but I
does.
know it's not. I know it's actually
Yes,
a
it
100-watt
does.
bulb that's very bright. It's just that all these are even brighter. Anyway, this is all leading up to what happened over the summer. We got to the point where I was putting out enough videos, I was working on other projects, and I just didn't have time to write the articles for the videos anymore. And we want the articles for the videos because some people like to read and they don't want to watch videos. And it's also very good for Google and just building a general library of adaptable content. So I wanted to keep that. I didn't have time to do it. And I worked with Ransom on doing it for a while, who is our main writer, but I found that he's actually better at coming up with his own topics. And he tends to do really good work when I let him just make his own topic up and figure it out from there. So I was like, okay, we need to get writer number 2 at this point. And this was the first time that we ever went through a real, rigorous, and formal process.
It was rigorous.
For having people apply and then for us going through the applications and hiring people. And we made a hire. So if you guys have been reading the articles for any of the recent videos on the website, some of them are written by Roxine, who is the person that we hired. And we will have links to some of the articles that she has written on CIG so far in the show notes for this episode, but also her own website. And what I wanted to do in this episode is take the experience we had and share it, because I realized we have now gone to the other side of the equation.
Yeah.
We're like, because you helped me with the hiring process. Now we have experience as hiring managers who are making decisions on who made the cut, who didn't make the cut.
And obviously we know what went into our own decisions. Therefore, we know what went into hiring decisions.
Lots of Yahtzee dice.
Definitely.
All of it.
Not magic
Some
dice.
D&D dice. I don't know why Yahtzee came to mind first, because I do play a lot more
Do you
Magic.
play a lot of Yahtzee when I'm not around?
And I play no Yahtzee.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure why I said Yahtzee. But yes, lots of dice rolls. Lots of spinning in my chair and pointing at a sticky note on the wall with a name. All those
Fair.
kinds of
That
things.
would have been a good strategy, actually. A lot less stressful, you just kind of do it. Done.
Would have been unstressful in a certain way, but then stressful in another way.
Until you just don't care and you just randomize something else until it works.
That's true. When you realize the ephemeral nature of life.
You just roll the dice.
What does it
over and
matter
over
who
and
you
over
hire?
and over and over. Eventually, you're going to be okay. Or you've given up.
Yeah.
Whichever.
Or maybe we did something different than that. So what I want to do in this episode is actually guide you through what our criteria was, and then how we narrowed down people in several different stages to eventually make a hire. And hopefully by listening to our perspective, you'll start to get into the head of a hiring manager for any position that you might be applying for in the future. So hopefully this will have some insights that you can glean from our experience.
Yeah.
That's a general goal here. So to set the stage, and you know what I'm going to do actually? I'm going to link to the page that we used to let people apply. Now it's
Does it have the actual form on it?
No, the form's not there anymore.
Okay.
I may be able to just take a screenshot of the form and then put that in
works.
the show notes. I think I can do that because
That works.
people have asked, like people who I know who run their own businesses have asked me for this form since we did it because they want to do the same thing basically. So we wanted a writer, and because I am spending all my time on videos, because I don't have a whole lot of time to train somebody, this wasn't a position where I could really bring somebody in and train them up and spend a ton of time mentoring them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the point is you didn't have time for that.
Exactly. Some positions in the future may be like that we may have the opportunity to hire interns in the future. A lot of companies do. But with this particular position, I needed somebody who could basically come in, hit the ground running to some degree, and just produce articles to our standard without me having to spend a ton of time editing. Because really what the difficulty for me is these days is the number of tasks and pulls on my attention has increased.
Yeah.
And when all these things are vying for my attention, I can never really focus in on one. And if I can't focus, I can't get good work done. So if I wake up and I'm like, I got to edit 4 articles and then give a bunch of feedback on 20 things, and then I have to research for a podcast episode and work on this project, none of it's going to get done to any degree of quality.
Yeah.
And you know this.
I do know
You know
this.
when there's like 4 things to do in a day, it's actually no things will get done that day.
Yeah, much better to choose one.
Mm-hmm. So, needless to say, the job application page says, I'm looking for an experienced writer to help turn videos into beautifully crafted blog posts. And the page has examples of some of the best blog posts on the site. It very clearly states what we're looking for in both the articles and also what we're looking for in the job description. And then we have some requirements, like you need to have experience with online writing, you have to be able to edit yourself well, you have to be able to produce up to 2 articles per week, etc., etc., and then some nice to haves. And then we have our form there. So the one thing I want to point out, this was the most important part of the job application requirements page, in my opinion. I wrote, you need to have experience with online writing, or at least be able to make me believe that you do. This was a big thing for me because I knew there was going to be people who were going to be emailing me saying, hey, I've only written for print magazines. I've only written for my school newspaper, or I've only written poetry about Steven Universe in on Tumblr or something, like, hey, I'm not going to judge, man,
It's
but
online writing.
make me believe that you have experience as an online writer. And then we had our application. So they had to read through the requirements page and then fill out an application. And to paint a visual picture here for you, the application was pretty short. Notably, I did not want resumes because I didn't think they'd be useful. This is a
Fair.
position where I want to see your work, and I'm going to be able to make a judgment call on how well you're going to be able to work for me based on your work, not on whether or not you worked for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory or something. You know, some positions will care more about your pedigree. I care more about actually seeing your work in action so we can scrutinize it. And you helped with this process as well.
Yeah, well, especially because it was like a hit the ground running sort of position.
Yeah.
It means the pedigree kind of implies, can you do this theoretically? But the question you were asking is, can you do this now directly?
Yes. Can you do it right now? Show me that you're already doing it, basically.
Yeah.
That's key.
You don't want theoretical skill. You want proven skill.
Yeah, and I do want to come back to that. So the application form here, all I wanted was an email address. I didn't even ask for a name because I figured that if you're linking me to your written content online, it should have a name somewhere. So
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
Makes
worry
sense.
about that. And then the next thing were just link me to 3 of your best pieces of written content online, 1, 2, and 3. And then if you have like your own website or blog, link to it there. So that way if people had their best stuff on Medium or their best stuff on their school newspaper website, I did want to let them at least see or show me their personal website or their blog,
Yeah.
because I do want to see that as well. And then I asked for a link to a great example of someone else's content online, not on College Info Geek. And my friend Matt told me to do it that way because he had a very similar form to this one, which he used to hire an editor. And he asked for examples of really good content or really bad content online. And he noticed a lot of people would just put links to his own articles in that.
Kind of like we're flattering you.
Yeah, total brown nosing stuff. And then he had a form like, tell me what's wrong with this article. And they'd say, oh, nothing's wrong with it. It's great. Again, more brown nosing points. And that actually lost them points because he's not looking for someone to suck up to him. That doesn't pay the bills. That doesn't grow the business.
Yeah.
He's looking for somebody who has an eye for great content and who can tell intuitively what is bad about an article and how could it be improved, just like he can. You know, I don't need somebody to say, oh, you're so great, Cusco, or something like that. Let's go build Cuscotopia. So I asked, why is this article great? I wanted to see some effort put into an analysis there. I also asked for 2 more links to online content. I didn't ask for why on those 2 because I didn't want the application to be an hour long.
Yeah.
I did want to see their thought process on at least one, and then I wanted the other 2 just to be like, okay, can you hit 3 for 3 showing me what is good online? You know, can you separate the wheat from the chaff? And I had 2 more questions. One is, what is the 6th listed 10-footer DDR song that Thomas has completed listed on his impossible list? So this question seems totally irrelevant.
Some people said that.
Some people
their
did
answer.
say that. They did. And I will tell everyone, we got 259 applications, which is a lot.
Yes,
And
it was.
that's an understatement for you, I know,
Yep.
because you went through them.
Yep. It was a lot.
So I asked that question because I wanted somebody who was detail-oriented, who could read instructions well, and who was a solution finder. Somebody who had the ability to go out and find the answer to a problem or a question that I knew they wouldn't already know the answer to.
Yeah.
I felt that very few people would know that Paranoia Survivor was the 6th listed song that I've completed, but I put listed on my impossible list. So the answer is there. Or I guess not the answer, but the key to finding the answer. All you have to do
And
is
it's not
Google
that hard to find it.
Thomas Frank impossible list and then Control F DDR and then count. Can you count?
Yeah.
So it's a super easy question to solve. But interestingly, I think it was a full 25% of the applicants got it wrong. Do you think it was? I think it was around that percentage.
I don't
wasn't it?
remember the percentage, but I know there was a lot of blanks. There were a lot of, what is this question?
Yeah.
This is dumb.
Yep.
And also, that doesn't make me feel good reading reading the response first of all, but also just like ones that weren't the correct song, which I also
Yes.
found interesting.
So some people couldn't count correctly. They couldn't double check themselves.
Yeah, double checking is probably the key there.
I guess one thing we didn't consider is maybe some people count in programming terms and they start from 0, but I don't think most people do that.
If you do that, you should probably specify you did that.
Yeah, you probably should specify you did that.
Just so I can be like, okay, fine.
But some people were like, I don't play DDR. I'm glad that I asked the question, but seeing answers like that actually frustrated me because I'm just thinking in my head, like, I'm not going to hire you, but you're going to go out and apply for other jobs. And if you look at a question like that and instantly say, oh, I've never played DDR, so I don't know, and that's your answer, what are you doing? It's a simple Google search away.
Yeah, it wasn't that difficult of a question.
Yeah.
It is ostensibly irrelevant. It's true.
Irrelevant, but it's a weed-out question.
That's a good point, but it is a test. So in the future, these kind of things should be obvious as, oh, I see what they're doing. This seems irrelevant, but it's a test, and that means I need to pass it. Otherwise, I probably won't. It's like it's our equivalent of keyword searching that like the robots do with your resume. It's just, is this correct? If not, then
I guess the thing
that was it.
Yeah, let's like share an insight here. If a company is asking you a question in an interview, you need to assume that there's a good reason behind it. There might not be. They might have just pulled it off of some Google article. Oh, themuse.com said I should ask what their favorite hairstyle from the 80s is to see if they like David Bowie or something. Like, maybe they're dumb, but just maybe there's some logic behind a stupid question like that.
Well, even if it is stupid, saying it's stupid, it doesn't show like a great
that doesn't show a good attitude
to the thing. Well, I mean, on my the application that I filled out for my previous job, there was a question that was like, how many times do you text during a workday or something like that? And I was like, maybe a couple times when my mom needs something. Just like, this is kind of honest, but also kind of tongue in cheek, and mostly I don't.
And what they're looking for is not somebody who sits at their desks and texts all day long.
Yeah.
And are you going to do the work?
And also, I didn't put 0 because I didn't want it to be like, oh, I'm just saying whatever I thought you wanted. I'm just like,
that's true.
My mom needs something, I'm going to answer.
I never text. I'm actually a soulless robot. I will do anything you ask.
Yeah.
Literally.
So just it's one of those questions that seems really dumb, but like they're looking for something. Who knows what it is, but they are looking for something.
And there was like a scale of wrong answers. Like, this is dumb is probably the worst answer. Blank is probably the second worst answer. A straight up I don't know is like the third worst answer. And then like, if I can see that you tried and got it wrong, still not going to hire you. Because it's 259 applications and one person we're going to hire. But at least I'm not going to be like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I will say, we have a spreadsheet where we narrow down all of our candidates. And we have a short list where there are 4 or 5 people here who, if I need something else in the future, I'm going to them first. I'm not going to go do this process again.
Yeah.
Because they were so close. And they just got edged out a little bit by the best person, but they were so close. I'm just like, I really wish I could hire them. And if I ever hear from a friend on Twitter or something saying, hey, I need a great writer, I'm going to point them to those people. Like, I keep them in my back pocket.
Yeah.
So even if you don't get the job, realize that if you impress a company, they're going to remember you. I follow a few of those people on Twitter now just because I think they're cool.
I think I follow one of them on SoundCloud. They had some cool stuff.
There you go. See?
You know? But this... Like, in the whole process, these little weird weed-out questions and things like that, it sounds heartless. It seems heartless. I felt heartless.
Mm-hmm.
I hated it. It's not in my personality to be like, oh, I see you care about us. No. But the thing is, you have to, because it was one coming out of 259. Mm-hmm. So, like, something is going to be the weed-out point. Something is going to be what costs it. Even if you're a great writer, even if you think you've got everything, if there's another one who's got the same things, and the one difference is the DDR question, then, like, somebody has to win.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to take a little bit of time. Even if it seems unfair. I want to take a little bit of time to dwell on this point. We got 259 applications. And this is a company where it's just like 2 dudes in a bedroom. Yeah. Google gets, I think I said it was 1 million resumes a year in my resume mistakes video. And then I think I came across some updated stats after that, and it's 2 million a year.
Gross.
Or more. So there's a fundamental thing to keep in mind here. Companies don't have time to evaluate every application on the merits of the job they're looking for. They have to build like really efficient weed out funnels.
Yeah, you have
You
to.
know?
Otherwise, it's going to cost you so much to hire the person that you can't afford to hire the person.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like you walk into Walmart and you want to buy a birthday gift for your mom or something. There's a zillion items there. You're going to go through, even if it's subconscious, you're going to go through some sort of like weed out process
Oh, yeah.
or a process of filtering in your head. Does my mom already own food?
You don't
and is
carefully
food a good
consider
gift? Okay,
everything.
I can eliminate the entire grocery section. Would I feel very weird buying my mom like a new bra? Yes, I would. I'm weeding out the entire clothing section.
Fair.
Okay, I've ended up in the hunting section. I'm going to buy her a Bowie knife. Why you're buying your mom a Bowie
Perfect
knife? I don't know.
gift.
But you've gone through some sort of mental algorithm.
Yeah, you don't go through and say
To
each
get
one of
there.
these deserves a fair shot theoretically, therefore I will give them all the same amount of time. Because
Yeah.
you can't. You
For
don't
every
have enough
item,
time.
I'm going to go to my mom's house. I'm going to scour the whole house
I
to
am-
make sure she doesn't have it.
I am sure that given time and attention and training and understanding, pretty much everyone could have at some point met the writing requirements.
I don't think so.
I think that could have, most of them, not all of them. But
Maybe.
I mean, with training and stuff that we can't provide.
I do believe that there is a talent threshold. Like, I'm sorry if anyone gets offended about this. I think that there are certain things that certain people are never going to be able to match a standard that a company needs.
What if they put in 10,000 hours and become a master?
I don't know. There's just like, there are things that I'm probably not going to ever be world class at, no matter how hard I try.
I think a lot
Like,
of those
I
are
don't think
physical,
I
though.
could be in the NBA or something.
That's physical,
right?
though. You can't possibly change that.
And there's probably like
Although
high,
you are taller than me.
like, I'm not Kurt Goodell. If I put 10,000 hours into math, I'm still not going to be able to solve like the uncertainty principle to the degree that Kurt Goodell did. Like, I do think there is some component where, like, I think some people have strengths in certain areas, and because of that, they have weaknesses, or at least not strengths in other areas. So I don't want to say like you can be literally, I do want to say you can practice anything and you can improve in anything, but I don't want to make it seem like you can go get hired at literally anything in the world.
Oh, well, I think that world-class levels, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in general, each of these people probably could have been a passable writer
I
with
guess
enough time. I didn't say they were going to be the world-class best writer we've ever seen. I didn't think that was the requirement.
I guess this is the thing. I'm looking for world class. And maybe that sounds weird because it's like technically blog posts, but the way I see it is I'm trying to build a library of the world's best content on how to be a better student. So I guess I just have this perspective that there are some people out there who are not going to meet that level. And maybe in Fantasyland, if they did put in 10,000 hours of practice.
Oh, well, I don't think they
sure.
are going to. I'm just being very hypothetical.
I guess, yeah, hypothetical.
I'm a very forgiving and hypothetical person, which is why it
Maybe
was
you're
very
more-
hard to go through 259 people.
You probably are more forgiving than me. Yeah. I guess a million years, a million monkeys, a million typewriters. We can make Shakespeare, but you're going to have to dig through a lot of piles
Probably make
of
something
paper.
better than Shakespeare.
That's true.
Don't give the
The
monkeys no
genius
credit.
of the monkeys.
They're good at stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I seem like a jerk for saying something like that, but I think
It's
certain people I
realistic.
know, and I'm just like, I just know you aren't going to do that. But there's maybe something else out there that's equally great in a different field that you are going to do. You're more attuned to that.
Well, I guess most of what I'm saying here is the people who really cared about this and think this is the kind of thing they want to do probably could in time if that's their chosen passion and they really cared. I'm sure there are some people on there that didn't care, as was evident by some of the blank answers in various
That's
questions.
true. Yeah.
But the people who were like, but I thought I really did a good job at this, they probably could in time.
Okay, yeah, the people who put in effort. I guess I'm just thinking we had a lot of people who clearly didn't put in effort.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like,
think that's
I
gonna
don't
be
know
true
what
of
their
everything.
motivation was. Maybe they were just trolling us. Maybe they were enamored with the idea of...
That would have been funny. That would have cheered me up if there was just like a bunch of troll answers.
That
in
would
one
have
of
been
them.
really funny.
I would have liked it.
Mr. Incredible. Well, I'm not a good writer, but I can lift a car over my head.
Yeah,
How's that?
I would have been like, okay,
I was in a cappella.
you're not hired.
I
but
went to
am
Cornell
gonna remember
University.
you. Yeah,
Cornell University. They
naturally.
don't just let anybody in there, you know.
Are you part of a singing group?
Yes. Yes, I am actually. Would you like to hear?
No.
But yeah, there were some people who just clearly didn't put in effort. I don't know why. My go-to answer is maybe they just want to write for a high-profile site because they think it'll make them famous. I don't know what the motivation is, but there were clearly some applications that
Maybe
was
it
like,
was just one of them roll. I'll just roll the dice. Why not? But I'm not going to try that hard to roll the dice.
That could be it. Yeah,
I don't know why you would expect that the dice roll would come up in your favor in this situation.
There's the other thing. A lot of people think they can just shotgun their resume out to a million companies, and it's
you know what? That's a really good point.
It's like the what do they call that?
It's a bad strategy,
or the shotgun strategy, which is if I put enough things out there, if I cast enough hooks, eventually I'm going to catch something. Yeah, but eventually you're going to catch like a rubber boot.
Yeah, theoretically, I guess that's kind of true, but it's not usefully true.
Yeah. So if I decide to apply for a job, and this has been every job I've ever applied for, I'm not shotgunning my resume out to a zillion people. I may be applying for several positions, but with each one I apply to, there is a lot of effort and thought put in. And with the ones I truly care about, I'm going above and beyond. Like you, making a full website, saying, I want to work for your company, and you got hired. I think had you just shotgunned your resume out to every web development agency within a 200-mile radius, maybe you would have gotten hired, but you wouldn't have gotten hired by the one you wanted to be hired by.
Yeah.
And in all likelihood, you probably wouldn't have heard back from any of them.
Well, the thing is, if it's a place you really want, then it's likely that maybe you just shotgunned your resume out. You didn't put much effort in, even for the one you cared about for whatever reason, because you're like, I don't know, I'm rolling the dice. Somebody probably did apply to that one and try. And just like with this, like somebody has to not get the job.
Yep.
And it's going to be the one who didn't put in effort, all things else equal.
Or rather, 99% are not going to get the job. And that brings me to the final question on the application here. If you'd like to add anything else, or can list other skills you think would be would complement your writing and the work we do at CIG, do it here. So that was just like the anything else tab. And the reason I put that there was to gauge effort. That's the whole reason it's there. I wasn't looking for somebody.
Wild card question.
I wasn't specifically looking for anything. Like I wasn't hoping somebody would say, I actually won Dancing with the Stars one year. You know, I thought maybe somebody will end up having really cool programming skills, or maybe they're actually an accomplished copywriter who can help us with sales pages in the future, or they can write really good email funnels or something. I don't know, but I'm not looking for anything like that right now. So there was nothing specific I wanted in that field, but I wanted to see something.
Yeah.
And the person we hired put something there. Something compelling too. Something that I said, oh, that could be useful in the future. That actually may help us grow our business even further. And maybe it's not related to writing articles. So that was the application. And the way this worked is we had everyone apply on a Google form. It was very simple. And then it all went to a Google spreadsheet. And from that point, Martin took over.
Yeah.
I let you take care of the weed out process. What I basically did is I wrote up like a weed out algorithm of sorts.
Oh, good. You still got this document somewhere?
Yeah, I pulled everything up just so we'd have it to reference. So we have a whole writer hiring process document here, and then you just were able to follow it.
I just rolled with it a lot.
Yep. So I want to share what I wrote here. So I wrote in bold text for Martin, main thing, we're looking for someone with experience. Enthusiastic and willing to learn won't cut it here. They need to be able to show us high quality work already. And I communicated that on the application page as well. Yeah. So I wasn't hiding this. And I want to bring something up right now that relates to this. We got 259 applications, but we also got probably 20 or 30 emails that you never saw.
Oh.
With people just saying, hey, I really want to work for you. I saw the application page come up. This is my dream job. I love your website. Only problem is I don't have any writing online. But I think if you give me a chance, I could be great, and just tell me what you want me to write on. I'll write you the greatest thing ever. And I didn't reply to any of these. Now, again, I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. These kind of people probably can do what they want given time.
These
keep trying. Don't be discouraged.
I'm a little cynical about the people who didn't put effort in. That's all I want to say.
I wasn't considering them at all.
Yeah, maybe
as I probably wouldn't.
Maybe they can make a transition at some point. They can make like a whole Rocky
if
style
if they don't care
montage.
enough to put that much effort in, I just don't think they care whether they become a writer. So
yeah, that's true. I guess caring is the biggest thing. But you know, the enthusiasm was good. It was very flattering to see people who were so happy with the work we've done that they wanted to be a part of the team. But I had to keep in the back of my mind, we have a finite amount of time to dedicate to this, because every moment we spend on the hiring process is a moment we're not spending making the things that we put out into the world. It's a moment we're not spending podcasting. We're not spending, making a higher quality video script or building a product or improving our website. the hiring process creates no direct value. It
Yeah,
sets
the
somebody up
process itself
to create
doesn't,
value, but the process itself is a time sink. So it has to be efficient. And I know if I need to be efficient in my hiring and I owe it to my audience to do that, then I know the person I'm going to hire is somebody who is putting a lot of effort into the process already. They're going through the channel I've established, and they're going to show me work they've already done. I want somebody with established work. I'm not going to hire somebody who doesn't have it. They're admitting it right now. But the other thing, I very specifically put on the application page, you need to have online writing experience or make me believe that you do. Because I knew online writing is something that you can put up in 5 minutes. This isn't a medical position.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not asking you to go take the MCAT and do your rotations in a week to convince me you're a doctor. Obviously, you need to spend years working on that. But if you're a good writer and you don't have an online writing portfolio, you either have stuff on your computer already that you could put up onto medium.com or typepad.com, or you could build your own blog on WordPress, or you could put it on a Facebook note. Anywhere. You could put it on Pastebin.
Yeah.
There are a million places online where you can put writing, and if you can't figure out where those are, you don't make the cut. Either that, or maybe you've written for your school newspaper. At the worst, you could photocopy your newspaper articles and then type them, or use OCR software to convert them into text. Or, at the very worst, I think we gave people 2 weeks to apply.
I don't remember that one.
I think it was 2 weeks.
That sounds reasonable.
I think it was 2 weeks from when it launched to when we were going to close the window. Maybe even longer than that. And the application page very clearly states you need to be able to produce 2 quality articles per week. This is something I need from you.
Oh, I see.
So, if you see it, even a week into it, you got time to write 2 great articles. And if you really want the job, you're going to do 3.
Well, we had somebody go in there and write 3 completely new things.
We did.
For the application. And
yep.
That person I'm thinking of made it to like number 2 or 3 or something. They're way up there.
Yep. That person, I think, is this person right here. And I believe one of her articles was why CIG should hire me.
I loved that article.
It was great. Yeah.
It was great.
And she wrote them all from scratch.
Jumps immediately to the top of the queue.
Yep. So there was a great example of somebody who got it. Because sometimes the application page communicates more than you think it does. I'm giving you ways to make yourself qualified, even if you're not qualified right now. And I wanted to do that because when I worked at the web development office at Iowa State, I was not initially qualified when I was applying. But they had an online test of PHP coding problems that was like their first hurdle. And I had a couple of days to do it. So it wasn't like they're just saying, you don't make the cut, you don't know it, we're not going to consider you. They're saying, here's a challenge. Rise to it. You've got some time. So I wanted to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It was implicit in there. And somebody figured it out. But I had a lot more people emailing me saying, hey, just give me a chance. Give me a topic to write on. Do this for me. And you can put writing online. And so it's all going back to the efficiency thing. Given a perfect world where I had infinite time to mentor and nurture a brand new generation of writers, yeah, I'll give you prompts all day. I'll edit your work. I'll tear it to shreds. I'll make you a better person. But I didn't have time for this.
No.
I needed an experienced writer. And I stated it very clearly. So you need to see that and you need to say, okay, this person needs to be efficient with their hiring process. They need an experienced writer. I'm going to, I'm going to turn myself into that. I'm going to hammer away at the marble until the statue is there for all to see without putting the tools into Tom's hands and being like, please craft me for me. I'm going to do it myself. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And we did see it. The only reason we didn't end up hiring her is because the person we did hire, they met the first criteria better, where their articles were like the best ones at the time.
Well,
So
and
they
there was
were-
like the bonus things.
And she had the bonus things
Too.
too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll go through the people who made it to the top. We'll kind of explain a little thing. And I'm not going to name any names or I'm not going to give out any personal information other than the person we did hire because she's very clearly working for us now. So I don't think that matters. But I do want to pull some general insights out of that at first. But before that, let's talk about the first part of the process here. So we had a first initial filtering pass that you had to go through. And we wrote it down here. Basically, anyone who had troll answers or blank spaces, their row was deleted basically right away.
Yeah.
So that helped to cut down. Anybody who didn't get my DDR question right, they were cut out. So you needed to get that right. Even if there could have been a fantastic writer in there who got it wrong. We'll never know.
It took me long enough to read everybody that wasn't cut immediately.
Exactly. And I can't emphasize this enough. We have to be efficient. Of course, we could have had the next James Joyce in the applications and they just happened to count the DDR songs wrong. We could have, but if you dwell on what could have been forever, you will never achieve anything.
Yeah.
So we had to follow the process. If you got the DDR question wrong, you are out. Anyone who didn't link to 3 pieces of actual online content in the 3 questions, they were cut. I needed 3 articles. You can write 3 articles in 2 weeks because I wrote 31 articles in August of 2011 for the blog. If I can do that, you can do 3 in a week or 2 weeks. Anyone who didn't link to 3 pieces of other people's content. The next one was really important and a little less obvious. Anybody who gave a crappy or low effort answer to the why is this content great question. So the question where I said, link me to somebody else's piece of writing and tell me why it's great. Anybody who wrote, it's great because it's long, or I don't know, or just something that seemed low effort.
It wasn't very analytical.
They didn't put thought into it.
You were looking for an analysis about why it was good.
They got cut, again, because I know the person I'm going to hire was going to put thought into that. And the other thing is we looked at the applications as they were coming in, and we saw some early ones that had a lot of promise.
Yeah.
So that actually helped to set the bar for us going forward. We didn't have to come in from a totally fresh perspective, starting from the bottom and working our way up. We had a couple of footholds.
That made it a lot easier.
That did
because it was like, oh, I'm so unsure here, but if given the choice, I would still go with this person. Therefore, we know it's not this person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, logic. And then anybody who didn't answer or gave a crappy answer to the last question, anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah.
Again, I'm looking for effort. Even if you don't really have a whole lot to contribute, at least tell me something in a little bit more than 4 words. Otherwise, you're cut. So at that point, all those people went into like the pass 1 rejections, and then we moved on to second filtering pass. So this one, because we were looking for a writer, anybody who didn't have like a clear, fluent command over English didn't make the cut because, again, we need somebody who could hit the ground running. And, we'll do the same thing if we ever decide to start translating articles into Spanish someday. You're going to have a clear, masterful command over Spanish and be able to translate correctly. So that's just a skill thing. If you're going to be a writer, you need to speak English and write in English very, very well. So that one made me feel more bad because I was like, I know a lot of people from other countries read our site, but again,
the thing is, we already had seen some people who had an obvious command that we were looking for. So at that point, knowing that it would be them in the end would be just wasting our time to continue to consider people that wouldn't match them.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to note something else here as well. If you truly want to be a writer, or if you truly want to be anything that you're applying for, and you get rejected, that shouldn't discourage you from doing the thing, especially if it's a thing that has a low barrier to entry. So maybe Thomas Frank from College Info Geek is not paying you to write articles every week, but he's paying a person who already chose to write articles of her own volition for free on her own website for several months before that.
Yeah.
And that's because I wanted to hire a writer. And if you're a writer, you're not the kind of person who looks for permission or money to write. You're the kind of person who writes. So if you get rejected, keep writing.
Yeah.
Keep doing the thing, because who knows, maybe 2 weeks down the line, another person online is going to want a writer, or a year down the line, you're going to have this great internship opportunity come up, and you're going to thank yourself that you didn't get discouraged on that first rejection and that you kept at it, because now you've got this huge portfolio of great work that you didn't have for the first job, but now you do have it.
Yeah.
So you are coming in with a whole different set of qualifications that's going to look a lot better.
Well, if you had gotten discouraged, College Info Geek wouldn't exist.
Yeah. Actually, for people who don't know
pretty clearly.
Yeah. For people who don't know it, College Info Geek started because I applied to write for another college tips blog and I got rejected. So I feel the pain of every single person we rejected. I feel it.
But you went on to write 31 articles in August or whatever you just said.
And I think I've written like 650 at this point on my site.
You're almost hitting how many Pokemon there are.
I'm getting close. Do I get a prize? Pokemon prize.
Yeah, the prize is that a new generation comes out, and then you have to keep writing.
Yeah, I don't think I can write fast enough to keep pace with the generations unless Pokemon just like stops someday.
Don't ever say that.
I'm sorry. I triggered you.
It's not allowed to stop.
It'll never stop. There's going to come a point where there are so many Pokemon, you can't memorize them.
I already haven't memorized them. I don't know all of their names anymore.
There's going to be 50,000 Pokemon.
But that's because I don't have hundreds of hours to put into every new game.
That is true. Though I'm going to tell you, fault. I couldn't, like I tried to play X and Y and I just couldn't do it. But when the Switch one comes out, I'm going to play that. I don't know what it is, but the Switch just makes me like to play video games.
Yeah.
Good job, Nintendo. But yeah, I feel the pain, but I didn't let the pain get me down. And that's what you should do as well. All right. So that was the second pass. And at that point, we had a spreadsheet of candidates who were at least decent. They had put effort into their applications, they had online writing experience, and they had a masterful command over English. Everyone there was a potential hire at that point. And let me look here.
How many do we got in there?
It was 26 people.
26 out of 259 deserved my full looking over of all. I spent a couple weeks doing this. I definitely considered your work.
Yes. Yeah, he put a lot of effort into it. And I was working on videos and I had a lot of things to do. So I was like, Martin, this is your job. And were you having like listen to gangster rap?
I had to listen to like the coldest gangster rap and be like, I gotta be heartless, Martin. Stop being so nice. You gotta say no way more times than you like.
Yep.
That was my job.
You just need to play Kingdom Hearts.
It was very difficult, but I definitely considered these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember getting text messages and Slack messages. I don't know about this person. Should we? So we ended up with 26 people. So about 10% of the initial hiring pool, which means you got to have an A, right?
Yeah.
To be considered.
Oh, and that's an easy percentage. Nice.
So at that point, we had narrowed down to 26, still a good amount of people, but a low enough amount that we could really dig into their articles and start to analyze things, start to ask more meaningful questions rather than does their answer suck to this question. Everyone's answers to these questions in this group were great. So it got really hard at this point. So what we did from here is I basically created a 3-color highlighting system. So you were starting to go through articles, read people's writing, see what else they had to offer. And then you would just highlight the row in green if there was somebody who displayed the greatest potential, people who submitted articles that looked like they could have been on CIG already. Their formatting was awesome. Their writing was great. They already knew how to use headings and bullet lists and links and everything. They had great analysis on the first external article they hadn't written. And then we had yellow people. So people who were like, they had potential, but we're not sure if they would be like an instant hire right now. But maybe they might be a good hire in the future, or maybe if all of our greens turn out to be sociopaths or something, then we can never know. Yellows. You never know. And then we had orange. So the orange were people who most likely wouldn't make the cut. Maybe they passed the English fluency test, but they didn't have a wide vocabulary, or maybe they didn't have a whole lot in their portfolio. In general, it just didn't scream, hire me.
Yeah, or they didn't have the same enthusiasm or fit with like the brand, or just it was like little things at that point. It was like, I got to choose somebody, and at this point, this tiny thing just isn't quite as good as the greens so far.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking here at the final question. What else can you offer? And everyone here has a lot they wrote here. And then we have one person who put a link, actually.
Oh, I loved that.
It's just a link. And we went to it. And I want to go to it right now to remind myself of what's on there. Oh, I think she may have actually taken it down since then.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's sad. But I guess it makes sense because the period is over. But she made a full page on her website of why she wanted to work for us, which was great. It told me that she most likely listens to the podcast and heard your story. And if not, she had an amazing idea. And she took all this time. It was
considerable effort.
Yeah, didn't she like make illustrations for it or something? Or there were at least illustrations on the page. She did a good job.
It looked nice.
Yeah, it looked nice.
And because of that effort, because I liked it, it jumped right up to like number 4.
Yeah.
Just immediately.
So, yeah, that was very impressive. I mean, all of these were impressive at this point. At this point, it was very difficult to make the final decision. And at this point, I stepped in. I went and read everyone's articles. I read their analyses, and Roxine's were just the best articles, which is what we needed. So everyone's were good, but I looked at hers, and I'm reading her articles, and I'm like, this looks and reads like an article on my site. I'm going to have to do very little to train her on how to write a great article on College Info Geek. She's basically already doing it. So let me pay you money to do it over here. So we ended up hiring her. We didn't do an interview process, actually. So this was another thing. I guess we're not super legit because we didn't have to actually interview people.
There wasn't like sit down at a desk and be all intimidating for a couple of hours.
Again, it was all in the name of efficiency. If I take half an hour to talk to 26 people on Skype, that's a lot of time. And honestly, their work is what I'm going to make the decision on. So I made the decision on the work. I emailed Roxine. I said, hey, we want to work with you. We love your work. When can you start? And then I had a Skype conversation with her. The rest of the people that were in this top group, they got a personalized email from me. And then everyone else did get an email at least, because I don't like it when companies don't email back.
Oh no, when you don't know, that's really inconvenient.
So everyone who didn't like pass the level 2 at least got an email saying, hey, thanks for responding. I think I actually wrote an email very similar to the one that I got when I was rejected from Hack College.
Oh yeah.
I still have it saved in my email. So I went back there. I was like, how did they let me down? Because I remember them phrasing it pretty well.
Fair.
But everyone else, I emailed them. I said, hey, your application was great. I really liked this article you wrote. And I'll call you back in the future if we need another person. Or if I have a friend who needs a writer, you're going to be one of the people I send to them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make it like a good rejection instead of a bad one, because they clearly made most of the cuts. And then we hired Roxine. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about here is one lesson that I learned after the hire. So my initial idea, because I write the scripts for the videos and the articles are companion articles to the videos, my initial idea was to have her basically act as a ghostwriter and to turn the video scripts into well-written articles. And we did that a couple of times, and it didn't turn out so good. And this coincided with the time that you and I were reading Good to Great. So I had to be really careful because I had this business book saying you need to fire fast and make sure you have the best people on the bus.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like reading the book being like, did I make the right decision? Oh no. And then I thought back to a conversation I had with my friend Charlie from Charisma on Command, which is an amazing YouTube channel, by the way. And he told me, like, you have to figure out what your art is and what is just your ego in the work you're doing. And I also read a quote, it may have been in that same book, from, I believe, Dwight Eisenhower, who said, it's amazing what you can get done if you don't care who gets the credit. And that got me thinking. Roxine's writing all these amazing articles on her site. And people are coming to College Info Geek to read an article about how to be more confident or how to not make mistakes on your resume. Just because there's one particular example or story from my life in the video doesn't mean the same exact story or example needs to be in the article.
Yeah.
The same points can be made with a different example. So after those first 2 initial ghostwriting tries, I got on Slack with Roxine and I was like, hey, what if I just give you the bullet points for the videos? Basically, this is what we want to teach. And then you go write your own article. And you get the credit for it, your name's on it, and my video is just in the article.
Yeah, because it's not a transcript.
It's not a transcript.
That goes with it.
So if you go to the companion article, maybe you're not going to be able to read a text version of my story of how I interviewed at this one company in college. You'll read Roxine's story, which might even be better. Who knows? But it's definitely going to be a better article because now she's writing it. She's invested. And instantly I could tell, okay, the energy that I saw in her writing on her site is back because now she's writing on her own.
Well, ghostwriting's like its own weird skill. We didn't check for that skill.
We didn't hire a ghostwriter. And she was saying like it was kind of weird when you'd maybe reference your girlfriend having to write my girlfriend
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously she has to date Anna for a while so that the stories make sense.
That's true. Yeah. So I kind of got some perspective, and this is interesting. As a business owner, maybe the perception of the people who work for me is that I have all the answers and know what I want. But in reality, I'm figuring this out as I go along as well. This whole hiring process that we went through, a lot of it, I had to like text of all my friends frantically, people who have already hired people, and I'm asking them, how did you do this?
Yeah.
Like my friend Eric runs Beard Brand, and he's got, I don't know, dozens of people on his team now. He did a whole hiring presentation at this conference I went to. So I was calling him and I was like, Eric, how do I word these questions so I'm not like leading them? Like my first draft of the application, the questions were worded in such a way that it was very obvious what I wanted to hear. And Matt looked at it and he said, you're writing leading questions here. I was writing questions like, can you edit your own writing? And of course people are going to say yes. Why would you say, no, I actually suck at editing.
I leave typos all the time.
Yeah, I really need an editor. I just don't
That's a
double
good
check
point.
my work. No one's going to say that. So he said, you need to just let people's work speak for itself. You need to weed out questions that aren't obvious, that have answers only you know. And you need to just cut out these questions that are leading because they're not doing anything for you. Let people exemplify that in their work, essentially. So we're figuring it out as we go, just like people who work with us are.
Yeah, so you should know that bigger companies that have done this, like Google, they definitely have some sort of process to handle this that is way more rigorous and way more efficient. They have to.
But they're also figuring it out too, you know?
Well, it's not perfect.
This is, it's not perfect. I want to point out that you may get hired for a position and then feel like you're not good at it. And it is very possible that the reason is they hired you and then didn't put you in the right role. Or they thought they wanted something and then they realize only later, oh, this isn't working, but it's our fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault for asking this great writer who's just putting all this passion into her work to essentially take my words out of my mouth and just reframe them and build them like Legos.
You can't
in
write
text.
that emotionally because like you have all the sub details that might make a sentence seem cooler. But she doesn't. She only has literally what you said and nothing more because she didn't live your life.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of those things that's really obvious in hindsight.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's somebody listening to this podcast right now going, well, duh, ghostwriter's not a writer. Or, not the same thing. But when we were hiring, it wasn't so obvious.
No, didn't think about that until after the fact.
Yeah. The thing in our head was, oh, somebody who's already a fantastic writer is clearly the best candidate to turn my videos into well-formed articles. But that turns out not to be true. Ghostwriting is a very different skill from being a real passionate creative writer. And another thing that I've realized becoming a musician is being able to play improv is very different than playing other people's songs. And my friend Kyle is objectively a much better guitarist than I am. And he knows a zillion songs. He comes over all the time and just plays like System of a Down songs that I have no idea how to play. And they're way more complex than I'm ready for. But then I'll sit there and I'll play some improv stuff. And he's like, I actually don't really play like that. That's much more difficult for me. So there's different sub-skills within a main skill. But the difference between those sub-skills is not always obvious until you really put it to the test. So I guess this is something for any business owners out there. Communicate with your employees and the people you work with. Don't be so fast to fire unless like it's a very obvious reason to fire.
You should at least reflect on if it's you.
Yeah, because it was us.
Yeah.
Or it was more specifically me. I don't think you chose to do the ghostwriting.
No, I didn't see much of what happened after I pared it down to like my top 2.
Yeah, after that I kind of took back over. So yeah, that was our process. I'm not sure if there are any other lessons to impart, but hopefully there was something of use in here. The main thing I really wanted to impart was the fact that companies need to be efficient with the hiring process, which is why they do so much weed out. And honestly, which is why they often don't ever get back to you. I think you were saying
they're not trying to hurt you.
They're not being evil.
Being mean to you on purpose.
A million resumes, dude. A million resumes.
It's just impossible.
And I'm sure I sent out an automated email, but I didn't want to use MailChimp for that. So I used Blind Carbon Copy and Gmail, which can hold up to 500 addresses. I had 200 and whatever that I was rejecting. So that worked. But imagine Google rejecting
2
million
I spent
resumes.
a couple weeks looking at like 259.
Yeah.
2 million. I don't know if you know this, but it's bigger.
There's a percentage of those emails.
It's a lot bigger.
Like even just say 3% of those emails. What is that? What's 3% of a million?
Whoa,
30,000?
I didn't apply for a math
I
position.
think it's 30,000. So that's 60,000 emails that wouldn't get delivered just because they got caught by spam filters or something. 60,000 people have applied to Google, and just because of dumb computer errors, never heard back from them. And they're sitting at their desks like fuming, like, I can't believe they wouldn't email me back just to tell me they don't have the common decency to reject me to my face. It's because they can't. There's too many. You just can't at some point. And I remember you saying, like, I empathize with HR people for the first time in my life. That's why.
Oh, yeah, because I hate
There's so many.
like, I'm a very understanding and forgiving and like humble kind of person. And I was just like, maybe I don't know if their writing's good enough. Maybe I need to look at it again. This is actually pretty good, but I might be looking at it from the wrong perspective. Something. So then going through and having to say no 250 sometimes
It's tough.
was like, it's very difficult.
It's real tough.
I understand. They're not just being mean to you. It's just apparently pretty much impossible to give everybody the same amount of time and effort and thought, unless you want to run your business into the ground and then tell them there's no job left.
Yeah, it's not going to work. And especially when everyone out there is reading all these articles about how to make your resume look so good and they're padding it with keywords and everything, you know, it gets to the point. It is in the job seeker's best interest to optimize their resume and everything as well as they can. But ironically, that makes the hirer's job more difficult.
Yeah.
Because now they have seemingly higher quality resumes that they have to figure out a way to sift through. They don't have a pile of resumes that say, I like to eat my own poop and I hate work, and then one that's good. It's all a bunch of resumes that are formatted the exact same, and their teachers told them exactly what to write, and they read College Info Geek articles and everything.
Just, what am I supposed to do about this?
They got to figure out, how do I sort through this stack of a zillion
then you
resumes?
do need to just like throw a dart at one of them.
Which is why a lot of hiring gets done through the old boys network or through networking of any kind. You have the short stack
you have
of
a
resumes.
bonus point.
Exactly. Yeah. You know,
It's like, wait,
he knows
they're
Dan
right there. That's easy.
from the Java development department. Oh, he vouched for him. Okay, I'm just going to set this resume stack on fire and not deal with it.
Yeah, like, this is going to save me like 800 hours. Let's just do it. Networking works.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a challenge on both sides. That's all I want to say. Okay. So hopefully you found the insights that we gained from this process helpful in some way. I think they're going to be applicable to you no matter what kind of position you're applying for. Maybe the individual elements, such as being able to get some writing online in a day, aren't going to apply to you if you're in med school or something. But you at least have a glimpse into the mind of somebody who's in the position of needing to hire someone else and the challenges they face. And you can use that to tailor your own application accordingly.
Yeah.
So take this and use it as you will. Show notes for this episode are at cigpodcast.com/185. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description down below, you can click that link. You'll find links to, we're going to have a copy of the hiring page, or I'll just link to the hiring page, and then some screenshots or something of the form so you can at least see the questions that I asked people. And then we'll also link to Roxine's website because she's a great writer, and I think that you should read her blog posts on her own site, as well as a couple of the posts that she has written for us so far. And if anything else we mentioned, I know Guillermo will pick it up. So There's another story. We didn't go through the hiring process at all for Guillermo.
No, that one was fast.
Nope, I was just on Twitter. I need someone to do timestamps, and he's like, "I'll do it." I said, "Okay, I'm gonna make some, deliberations," and he's like, "I already did it." He sends me, and then I look at it, and I'm like, "This is actually really
and
quality."
it's working out.
So we got really lucky with that one. Yeah. So I think that's it. If you want to support this podcast, one great way to do it is to subscribe to it in Apple Podcasts or Google Play or any app that you use. If you do watch this podcast on YouTube, keep in mind that you can get it in podcast players and take it with you on the road. I did get an email from somebody recently who said, I pay for YouTube Red so I can turn my phone screen off and listen to the CIG podcast on YouTube as an audio only thing. And I thought, well, that's very flattering that somebody would pay for YouTube Red just for our podcast, but they can get the audio files for free. by subscribing to the
Yeah.
audio feed through Apple Podcasts.
That's like the original way.
And they won't have to download however many gigs of data that YouTube streaming will take.
Yeah, it's less obvious that that's a thing. Like sometimes people don't know it exists, but the original way is through the audio only.
It is the original way. And more people by far listen to the audio version than the YouTube version. But I know people discover it through YouTube, and I just want you guys to know that there is an audio version as well. In the show notes, link to that audio version page with instructions on how to subscribe. So check that out. And if you do happen to listen on Apple Podcasts, another great way to support the show is to leave us a rating and review over there. That helps to bump the show up the rankings and tells us what we're doing right and what we can improve on. So thanks for listening. Thanks for any support you guys have provided so far, and we will see you in next week's episode. Stay cute.